welcome back to the channel. Today I want to go over what I dislike about my 2001 Jeep Grand Cherokee. This pertains to a 99 to 04 Grand Cherokee. Pretty much just, I've owned this thing for 7 years, so I'm going to go over all the issues that I've had, all the stuff that I'm got complaints about, and hopefully you guys could use it as a buyer's guide, stuff to look at while you're looking for one of these, and just the normal places to look, for rust and mechanical problems and, just the typical stuff that goes wrong on them. But let's hop right into it and get this video started. All right, so I'm going to start under the hood, over here. So one of the complaints that I have is the Jeep 4-liter. This is probably not something new to any of you, but this is a very, very noisy engine. It's just normally noisy. It doesn't really matter if it's in good shape or not. It's always going to make some noise. I mean, mine's fully rebuilt, so it's not really too loud, but I still do get like some piston slap while it's cold and, just the normal stuff. But once it warms up, it goes away. My old engine, I had a lot of problems with lifter noise, and when I took them out, I soon saw why they were so noisy. But that's definitely a pretty big complaint. And also another complaint is if it's missing all these heat shields down in here, that one down there, and I added these. They don't come with these, but there is a TSB out for cylinder 3 or 4 injector sleeve. These get heat soaked really bad. So like if you were just driving down the highway, you pulled into a convenience store and you turn the Jeep off, when you go to start it back up, chances are it's going to misfire. It's completely normal for these. What happens is the fuel vapor locks in the rail because you got your exhaust right there and then you got your intake right here. Why they did that, I don't know. They could have just as easily probably put the exhaust on the other side, but it's just something they decided to do, and it's definitely a big issue to me, at least. Another issue that is pretty common on these is that fan relay back in there. Let me see if I can get it to focus a little bit here. You can see it back in there, right there. That tends to go out, and it causes your cooling fan to not work. That controls both speeds, low and high. So that's just something to think about also. I have heard about ECUs going bad. I never had an issue with mine. Some of them might be different, but they throw a specific code for the ECU. And you'll definitely know if it's bad. But I mean, as far as that, under the hood, I don't really have any complaints. I've had evap leaks, a ton of evap leaks, and that's just any car with age. But yeah, that's pretty much it under the hood, and we'll move into the interior, the body, and just go over the whole thing, and let me know what you guys think. So this Jeep doesn't have a sunroof. If you have a sunroof, you're gonna be rotted out right here, right on your quarter. It's because the water from your sunroof drains right back here, and it causes that to rot out. And then another place to look for rot, which is, I do have rot back here, is right in here. These they trap like rocks and dirt and whatever, especially if you wheel your Jeep. Definitely check out back here. Like, this is all the way through. I am gonna fix this, I just haven't gotten around to it yet. It's rotted here, and it's also rotted, right behind the bumper. Like, this is all metal in here. It's rotting out. It needs sheet metal work done. Another issue that I want to bring to everybody's attention is these shocks, like not Bilstein in particular, but any shock for the Grand Cherokee, it makes noise from right here. And I bought the KOR kit that's supposed to get rid of it, and let me just tell you, it doesn't work. It's just the design of how they are. They just clunk around, and there's not really much you can do about it. They do sell shock relocation brackets, which I've been thinking about doing just to get rid of my noise, but it's not something that drives me insane. You can put the radio on and you won't even hear it. So that's just something else to think about, especially if you have any clunks in the back. And stock condition, the triangle upper control arm back in there, the stock, they have a ball joint. Mine is a Heim joint because I'm lifted and it's aftermarket arm, but that ball joint tends to go bad. You'll actually feel the axle like rock back and forth, like when you're braking and taking off. That's another place that you definitely want to check out on these things. Also, another place that's prone to rotting is right here, your rocker panel. As you can tell, I cut mine out, and it's gone. There's nothing left. So that's all the way down, by the way, but it started rotting right back here. So I cut it out. I'm gonna do rock sliders on it when I go to fix the rust behind the back and everything. I'm gonna buy the rock sliders for it and do those. As far as the body goes, I really don't have many complaints. Stock, the taillights are terrible. They have like a board in them, and they do go bad very, very often, where like you'll hit the brake and the turn signal will go on, or you turn the turn signal on, the brake light will go on. It's just a really bad design, which is why I have these aftermarket LED ones. Just another thing to think about. You know, it's really easy fix, and normally it's just the contacts and the tail light that causes that to happen. But I mean, as far as the body goes, I really don't have any complaints with it, besides maybe a little bit of rot and that tail light issue. But they make these things pretty good, and they hold up over the years. I mean, you think about it, this is almost a 20-year-old vehicle, and as you can tell, my paint's still, you know, relatively good. It cleans up really nice. But yeah, I mean, let's hop into the interior and we'll get going there. So inside the Jeep here, this interior, as interior gets older, it makes like noises, you know, like creaks, rattles, all types of stuff. So obviously that's going to be a complaint, but that's kind of a complaint with any car any used car, any older car. It's just going to be like that. I mean, as far as the interior goes, these heated seat switches, the lights burn out in them. It's pretty common. Also, the switches go bad, which is another pretty common thing. The heating pads in the chairs decide to go bad. Again, very, very common for the 9904 Grand Cherokees. I don't know if this pertains to all of them or just mine, but I've had so many issues with the wires in the boots. They break, and then like your windows will roll down when the doors close, but they won't roll down when it's open. And the same thing with like the locks and everything. So that's just another thing, you know, to think about. Again, easy fix, not a big deal. As you can see over there, I have nice rips in my seat. It's again another common problem with an older vehicle. You know, when you have leather, especially if it wasn't treated right from the beginning, they do rip. It's just, you know, it's just age. There's not really much you can do about it. As far as the interior goes, I mean, that's really all I can really complain about in here. Maybe just in the back, again, this is probably just me. It's probably not everyone, but this cup holder drives me nuts. It's broken, so it doesn't clip in anymore, and it rattles. It makes noise, and it's really, 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 really annoying. But I mean, that's really all the complaints I have inside here. I mean, these things, like I said, they're pretty. They hold up really well, especially to age and abuse. And you know, this thing hasn't been driven exactly easy, and it's in relatively good shape. You know, I can't ask for much more from it. But yeah, I mean, if you take care of it, it'll take care of you. Another thing that I did not mention was crank sensors. If you have the 4-liter 4.0, you are going to have crank sensor issues. Do not buy an aftermarket crank sensor, because you will be replacing it a couple months down the road. Mopar, go right to the dealer, get the sensor. It's like $100, $120. It'll last you just like the stock one did for years to come. You put a cheap aftermarket one in, what happens is the magnets they use are not high performance magnets, so they wind up losing their magnet when the car heats up and everything. Over time, the magnet goes bad. It's a cheap design, you know, it's Chinese sensors. They're just no good. Save yourself the headache, buy an OEM sensor. And to be honest, you should be buying OEM sensors for most of your sensors anyways, because from my experience, I've worked at shops for the past 10 years of my life, and we always try to buy OEM parts. Lastly, another complaint that I have, this is going to be any solid front axle vehicle, is death wobble. Death wobble doesn't pertain to a certain vehicle. When you get death wobble, you'll know the front end shakes terribly, and when you brake, it actually makes it worse. You kind of got to coast to a stop and, you know, pull over to the side of the road till it stops. That doesn't pertain to just this, but I figured I'd throw it in here. Anything worn out in the front end is going to cause death wobble. Death wobble is literally like a violent rock of the axle, like left and right, front and back. Like it flies everywhere. It feels like a jackhammer. So that's just another thing to look at. You know, if the Jeep's getting death wobble or whatever, go over the suspension, make sure everything's tight. Something as stupid as a control arm will cause a death wobble incident. So just another thing to think about when you're looking to buy one of these, or if you have issues of your own on yours, make sure you check the suspension, make sure everything's tight. But that's going to conclude this video. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for your support. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.